think C. Yeah, you
Yes.
probably get the notification.
Yep.
So I will let you guys both, the two of you, get it shared when it shows on yours pages. And then as we get any yes.
Sorry.
Oh, is that you? I'm like, I don't know, somebody's got their volume on.
It's me.
All right. And then as our friends join us online through Facebook, if you'd be open to saying that you're here and letting us know that you're with us, we would be so grateful. We know that we have some big competition. The Final Four is tonight, but I can tell you we are grateful that you're with us. So please let us know you're here. If you're catching this via the replay, please put in there that you're catching it via the replay. We do our best to try to get back in here, at least into the comment sections. Crystal's not a fan of going back and re-listening. We both do not like to listen to ourselves. So, hi, Rachel.
I think Rachel's here.
Yay. And so for those of you that are new, I want to just say welcome. My name is Shara. I'm a youth empowerment coach and the founder and director of MePowerment programs. I'm the mom of 2 young adults, and Crystal and I have been coming together now for, I believe it's 2 months, Crystal.
Wow.
That we have been coming together on Monday nights to really just share in conversations around current life that's we're seeing happen, not in just our own worlds, but in the worlds of the youth and families that we are serving. We've been super excited to at least once a month bring in a guest that we feel can sit at the table with us and have the really hard, real conversations. And Debbie is one of those amazing souls, but I'm not going to introduce her quite yet. I'm going to go ahead and Crystal, if you want to introduce yourself to anyone that's new.
Oh, gosh, thank you. I think you did a great job. And by the way, I see Hannah is here. I don't know, Debbie, did you turn your sound down or is that still on my end? Are you sharing it on yours?
No? Well, I shared it on my Facebook, but I don't have my phone up, so.
Oh, okay, so it must still be mine. I just heard a little echo. Anyways, no problem. So my name is Crystal. I work with K through 6 students, and I'm just a support for students and for teachers, a way to help them out in any way that we can to make their experience at school a good one. And actually, I should say, it isn't really just the students and the teachers, it is also the parents. I do everything I can to bring the parents into all the conversations because it's valuable. They're a big part of our team, which brings us to why I do this with my friend Shara, because we have a community of family and friends and their family and friends that all have children, and we would like the conversation to get started on, you know, how we come together. We don't have to do this hard alone. And so that brings us to Shara, if you would introduce our new friend, well, my new friend, your friend.
Yeah, well, actually, we kind of are new friends, aren't we, Debbie?
We are.
I mean, like our introduction, I feel like we probably have really known each other for a really long time. Like the 3 of us, like.
It feels like soul sisters.
Yes, for sure.
And the conversation is so graceful in how we dance when we're together and the heart that we share and everything. And so we're all real new together, but yet it feels like we've been on this journey together for much longer than what we would say would be new. But I'm really honored that we get to share you and in your story, Debbie, that you're going to share with all of us. But Debbie is a business owner, and she is the founder of CEO of the Heart. And I'm going to let her share more about that on her own. But Debbie really spoke to myself and Crystal. When Crystal and I always talk about sitting around the table and really having hard conversations, and Debbie sat at that table with us and had that hard conversation because Debbie has lived hard stuff, being a mom and experiences that were very personal and very hard. And then taking that hard, this is the amazing piece to me, taking that hard out into the world as a gift that it now that you're extending to your community and I think to the world in your message, but being able to move past that and to have that strength, that faith, all of that to take it out in a bigger way. And so without telling your story, because I could never give your story the love, and well, I can give it the love, but like all that it is, I'm going to hand it over to you, Debbie. And if you just want to start with introducing us who you are and a little bit about your story that turned into this gift.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Shara.
Yeah.
I love you both very much.
Oh.
So I'll just start with my story that I am a mom and I had 2 sons. And I'm also a business owner, and now I'm also a chaplain for South County Fire. And that's how this whole story comes together. Is I lost my son Ken back in 2008 to suicide, and he was 30 years old. And what we do know by his letters was that he was really questioning what was going on, that he felt, it's hard for me to articulate that. It's just that he thought he would be better not here on Mother Earth. And it was a devastating day for all of us. And from there, and I can attest, the journey has just been led by God, because I could not have done this by myself. I certainly had my family. So it was back on December 20th, 2008, that my other son, Brian, just opened his brand new business. It was only not even 8 months old. And the police came down to the gym because they couldn't find us here at home. And to this day, I still have no idea how they knew to go down to the gym. But that's where they gave us the notice that Kenny had died. And at that time, I was working full time, and I was in complete shock and disarray that you're in this world that you have no idea what's going on. You think you're in this really bad dream, and you're waiting to be woken up. But as the days passed, you weren't woken up, because this was reality. This is what was going on. And Kenny at the time lived down in Prescott Valley, Arizona. So we had to fly down to Arizona to, to get to him, if you will. And at that time, there was a snowstorm. We couldn't get out. It literally took us 4 days to get out of here and get down to, and we had to go by train. We couldn't even get on a plane because there was so much snow here and so many people were trying to get out. So we had this long train ride, and that was my husband's idea, which I thought was brilliant, because at the time he was researching trains, but it was like, it was just a really difficult journey. And so when I did go back to work, which was probably about 3 weeks later, I vowed to make sure to follow my heart, because I was living in the world of corporate America. You go, go, go. And it's all about work and making sure things, run properly. And I just had to take a step back. And at that time, I just had gone to work for a company that was growing from 19 million to $33 million in just a matter of time. I had built a phenomenal team. And again, I say that's all God, because when I had to take care of everything for Kenny, my team took care of it all at work. And so I considered myself very, very blessed. So the journey was learning how to process my grief and be with my grief and be in that pain and trying to figure out, how does one live in this space? Who in the heck made the rule that you get 3 days of bereavement? I'm going, I was blessed that I had vacation, and that's what I took, but there's no way you can take 3 days of bereavement and take care of everything.
Oh, it's awful.
Didn't it take you 3 days to get there?
It took 4 days to get there.
Right. Great point, Crystal. I mean, that is ridiculous. That's just a dirty, dirty joke.
Yeah. And so it's just one of those things. And he owned a home down in Arizona, so we had to take some time off. We had to rent a truck to, pack up his things and bring it all home. And in the meantime, you're still dealing with all your emotions, and people are reaching out and they want to help. And so it was just a really, really difficult time. We had his dad, who lives down in California, with Brian and Kenny's stepmom, Bonnie. And so we had a service down there for Kenny, and then we had one up here in Seattle. And so just a lot going on. So how does one continue to move forward? Well, you just take one step at a time. That's the thing that I remember. And not that you're thinking that. I can say that today, but not back then. Yeah. So, the journey was, I decided I needed more purpose in my life. I wanted to follow my heart. What did that look like? I decided to go into coaching. I went through coaching certification. I went into a leadership program. I was just trying to figure life out. And, but what kept on showing up in my life, which was really interesting, is that people who had lost loved ones were just showing up. I mean, I would be sitting next to them in the airplane because I had to travel down to San Diego for work. And I'll never forget this one gal. She just lost her grandpa. And so we sat on that plane on that trip, and I just asked her questions about her grandfather. And she just lit up. And she was just in this, like, really proud to be able to share those kinds of stories. And that's what continues to happen. And so fast forward to 2018, 2019, actually it was 2018, where we just got back from a vacation. And I was on a Sunday morning at 11 a.m. And I just got home from church, and I started hearing sirens. And they were getting closer and closer. I'm going, I wonder what's going on. Well, they stopped right in front of my neighbors. And I said, uh-oh, something's not right. And I was going to head on over there. And I said, nope, you don't need to go over that. It's none of your business. You'll know if you need to go. And like not even 10, 15 seconds later, I heard Eric scream, this bloody scream. And what happened was the paramedics had just pronounced his wife dead. And I knew exactly what he was feeling in that moment. And I just ran over there, and he was on the floor just crying. And I just held him. I put him in my arms, and I just held him. And I just said, I'm so, so sorry. And then, of course, they called the police, because the police, when the paramedics come and someone has died, then the police have to come and do their investigation. Well, at that time, which I didn't know, when the police come, the chaplain comes. And I'm going, oh, that's really interesting. And so they asked me, well, who are you? And I said, well, I'm just a neighbor I'm here to help him because I've been through this before myself. And so I just made sure that I got him some water, I got him some food, and then chaplain, he and I just connected and we talked and we helped. We served Eric. I called Eric's sister just to help and just to, give her, ask her to come up if she would. And in the meantime, the police are doing their investigation, and then they called the medical examiners to come out because this was unexpected. And so generally what happens is anytime it's unexpected and there's been no health issues whatsoever, the medical examiner will come out and do an investigation. Mm-hmm. And then they'll do an autopsy as well. So by the end of the afternoon, before I, left to go home, which was right across the street, I gave Dale, who was a chaplain at the time, my number. I said, well, let's stay in touch. And as I walked out that door, I just looked up to the sky and I said, I wonder what it takes to become a chaplain. And evidently, this is what Dale shared with me, the same thing happened to him. When I left, he thought internally, I wonder if he'd be interested in being a chaplain. And so that's history. So now I am a chaplain for Support 7, which is a nonprofit organization here in Snohomish County, who we serve fire and police, as well as families who have tragically lost a loved one, if it's through an accident, if it's through fire, if it's through an unfortunate suicide, any kind of fatality, we're there to serve.
Wow.
So that's my work today, as well as a grief and loss coach as well, because I got went through training and certification back in 2018 with the grief recovery method. And it just speaks to my heart to be able to serve others who've experienced a loss like I have. And it's like, I had this realization about a week or 10 days ago, and it's actually on Kenny's birthday, because Kenny's birthday was on the 5th of March. Yeah. And I'm going, it's because of him. That's why I do this work.
Yeah. Yep. It is. Yeah. And I it's so, and I see that and I know that, and even through the hard, and it's hard to even say this, but his passing, his death gave the world a gift through you. Yeah. And that's so hard though. Like, you can see it and I know it, like, what a gift, right? But there's so much that doesn't make sense. And this is the hard stuff. Like, and I think you, based on your experience, can speak to it, but there's so much that we just have to have faith. Like, we don't question and just have to have some sort of an understanding that we don't know. And we may never know. And how do you become okay not knowing?
Well, and here's the deal. First off, it's okay to not be okay.
Yes,
that's the first message I want to share, because who in the heck said that everybody has to be okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, who says grief ends?
It doesn't.
It just looks different.
It does. And there's an ebb and flow with grief, right? And there is no, you do this first and you do this second and you do this third. No, that's a bunch of baloney. You can, like, for myself, I was just very, very sad. And it wasn't until 2010 that a fellow coach said to me, I wonder if you got some anger in there. And I looked at him, it's like, well, what makes you think that? And so we just checked it out, but I wouldn't even allow myself to be angry, because how could I be angry when my son said, as I shared earlier, Kenny gave us a couple of letters, and I feel very blessed at that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very clear. I mean, he did question in some of his journals, he wondered if he should have been on some kind of medication, because he said his highs were so high and his lows were so low. So I'm going, oh, okay, well, there must have been some kind of depression or bipolar, but he didn't share that with us. And so what he shared with us is that if you ever question why, come back to my letters and just read them. So it's just, my heart hurts for him because he was in so much pain. And that's, my heart hurts for everyone that I serve. I've been serving parents who've lost their children, teenagers, to suicide. And they question, they don't know why, they don't understand, and they don't have the gift of a letter. So there's just got to be something going on that we just don't know. And we're not here to judge. Yeah.
I want to say, in the comments, Rachel has mentioned that she thanks you for sharing your story, because she lost a really good friend who was like a big brother to suicide in 2008. And I asked his name, because he comes up for a reason, right? And Rachel, thank you for sharing his name. And Tracy, I believe Tracy is probably here with us with Kenny right now. And these are very hard things to talk about.
And it's really important to talk about them, right? So one of the greatest gifts that we can give each other is stories.
Yes.
Right.
Stories. I hung on to stories about my son. I just looked for them because you know why? It keeps them alive.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
When I was going through grief counseling, one of the things that I shared with my grief counselor, and I literally felt this, I really thought this. I said, I told her that I was afraid that I was going to forget Kenny. And she just stopped and asked me a logical question, because of course I was in emotion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the logical question was, so Debbie, what makes you think that you're going to forget Kenny? And that actually snapped me out of it to say, oh yeah, it makes sense. Why would I forget Kenny?
Right.
But the thing is, we look for their energy, we look for stories, we want to keep them alive in the best way that we can, especially right after they died. It's just like, it's such a shock to the system.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that Rachel is hungry to hear stories about Tracy, or even stay connected to the family to share her stories with the family.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Laura, I want to just share what Laura says, that this is so hard, having a 17-year-old that's been, suicidal since the age of 8. And Laura, I just want to share with you, first of all, I just want to honor your heart right now. And putting that out there and being able to share that. I, also have walked and am walking a mental health journey as well. And I know Laura knows that. We didn't even do a live last Monday because I had to pull away for I guess we could call it a family emergency. I needed to go pick up my son, and who has been suicidal as well. And I was this it was a hard conversation, Debbie, for you and I and Crystal to step into, because I think it's something really valuable to share, especially holding space for Laura and her vulnerability and her mama's heart in this conversation, and anyone else who is even hearing the replay. I didn't want to share myself. I didn't want to share where I've been with Debbie, because I thought, who am I to put my pain out there when I still have my kid? Like, it just felt like such a weird, not weird's not the right word, like inappropriate, not the right place. And Debbie, you said to me, why would you not talk about that?
Yeah.
Why are we comparing?
Exactly.
Why are we comparing? We are all mamas with experiences, loved ones with experiences, and we shouldn't be comparing our pains.
Right. No.
No pain is equal. Your pain of loss and my pain of loss look different, but they're not to be, or they could even be the same, but they're not to be compared.
Exactly. And it's for us to even share. And how can we navigate this together? I can't imagine oh my gosh, Laura, my heart just goes out to you, and living that every single day, to know that's how your son feels. And it's like, it's just like you're waiting for the ball to drop, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I pray Laura has someone to talk to, has friends to talk to, that will just listen, because there is no fixing here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just listening. And that's what, gosh, the three of us did when we were all together.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's also holding the space of compassion.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And so that's been, I'm so grateful for Laura, and then also for you, Debbie, because it let me step into sharing that, because there was some shame in that and what was showing up for me. But what I hope that what it does is it gives some freedom for those of us to share in each other's experiences and sharing each other's discomfort and pain, because we do get to come at it from a place of compassion.
Yeah. And it's also sharing with the right people, right? Because there are some people that don't know what to say, they don't know what to do, or they think they have to fix it. And all we want to do is to be seen, heard, and understood. But there's no fixing here. I mean, it's the same thing for after someone has died. It's just like there's what happens is you either lose friends, you lose friends because they don't know what to say, or they don't know how to respond. Some of your friends come closer, and you just acknowledge and recognize that you just, I had friends that just brought food. And I'll never forget my dear friend, Rebecca. The day of Kenny's service, I sat down on the couch, and all she did was she sat down right next to me, and she just was present with me. She didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to fix anything. I could just feel her presence. And that was so calming and comforting. So there's times that we just need someone to sit by us.
Yeah.
And we don't have to say anything, and just let them cry, let them talk, let them be who they are and where they are in that moment. But it is hard, and it's, just finding the right people.
Yeah.
I think I have been that friend where when you hear of a tragic loss in your friend's life or your loved one's life, it's like you almost want to run away. Like you don't you want to run, for me, the kind of person I am, the personality I have, I want to run to them. I want to help them. I want to do whatever I can, but there's a fear. I don't want to do it wrong. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to overstep. I have no problems sitting and just being, but yet there's still a block sometimes, right? And I mean, I can't think of anybody that I didn't just push through my fear, but Debbie, I ask, like, you said earlier how people want to help when this happens. Like, people want to help, and so a question that came to mind right away was, and I think you just answered it, but is there something that stands out to you as a best way to help, or a just in your back pocket kind of a help that you know? So you said food. You said just sit with you, like. Is there any other ways that come to mind that is just like a sure bet, not feeling like you're stepping out of line or whatever?
So it's really nice to have a point person, so you're not necessarily bombarding the individual or the people that are really having a hard time. I did have somebody that was a point person that I was really grateful for, because then I didn't have to deal with it. And there are some people that just want to know, well, what happened and why and all that. Just ignore them. We're not here to take care of other people. Right now, it's about having compassion for yourself and taking care of you and what you need. So what can you do? If you're a close friend and you know the little things that need to get done for them, just do it. You don't have to ask. It's even as simple as bringing them some daffodils or some tulips or something that you know that really would give them, would just matter to them. And if you don't know what that is, then ask one of their friends or something like that. But it's even as simple as just saying, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And the last thing to say is, well, reach out to me. No, we don't have that energy. Just like Laura said here, it's very hard. She feels very alone. No, she has nobody to talk to. It's like, okay, then there's someone that knows Laura that can help, but in a little way. It's not about fixing. It's just by being with, or just saying, hey,
I see you.
Yeah, exactly.
I see you.
You may have just moved a mountain for me. You know, I just so love this, the way we can have these organic, hard conversations, because just saying, I like to say, let me know if I can help. Reach out if I can help. But hearing you say, I don't have the energy.
And what I know about that, Crystal, is because you are the person when someone needs help.
Yeah.
You're right there. Like, you are there. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. And so you so want to help that you're waiting for that. My hope for you and that friend is that just gave you some freedom to just walk right into it, knowing that if you trust your heart, you're exactly where you need to be. And that's just what I felt in that. That does not mean how you receive that. But
no, it's just, it's so easy. It's easy. It's easy. Like, it is so hard for me to see people have these things happen. And I have a list of names that I run for, that I pray for, that I think about. And Kenny is on my list now, and Tracy is now on my list. And I don't know why. It just happened several years back when my friend lost her son to suicide. I had previously lost a cousin to suicide, but it was still almost shameful to talk about, you know, like, if I just don't talk about it, maybe it'll be okay. And then it happened to my friend, and it was like the worst experience ever. And it almost is like it gives you an excuse when you can say, but I didn't think about it until this conversation, Debbie. So that is where I thank you. It's like, I will say, let me know if I can help you. Reach out if I can help you. Because that's almost easy. You know, like, I don't know what to do. And so, but you're right, Shara. I do. I want to be right there, and I want to be in the middle, and I want to just take over, and I want to just help. But a lot of that, I don't want to bombard. And a lot of that might be, for me, I don't know. It's just so hard on both sides. It is just so hard.
It's that you're right, Crystal. But Shara spoke to it. Trust your heart.
Yeah.
But just know that these tragic things that do happen, there is no fixing. However, we can be there and just be present.
Yeah.
And it's even just saying things that I do now. I just check in with people.
Yeah.
I'm just checking in.
Do you have people that check in on you?
I've got my my other fellow chaplains that reach out, and so we're a support system in ourselves. Because let me tell you, the suicides that I have served, it's taken me down. I literally need to take 2 or 3 weeks off because I'm processing and I'm learning how not to take on. But how could I not?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I care. When I see mamas just hurting like a son of a gun, and I also have to remember, I just have to hold space for them even afterwards. There's this great book that I'd like to share. There's actually several books, but one is for those who have experienced a loss of a loved one or a friend with suicide. It's called I Wasn't Ready to Say Goodbye by Brooke Noel and I think Pamela Blair. That book was so helpful for me because what it did is it acknowledged my feelings as well as it normalized what I was feeling. I didn't feel like a weirdo. I didn't feel like, after I read it, like something was wrong with me because I kept on judging myself. And the reason we judge ourselves is because what Shara spoke to earlier, we compare ourselves to the outside world, and we need to stop it.
Yeah.
And if you hear anybody start comparing, you just say, Debbie said to stop it. We're not here to compare. God created us as unique individuals.
Yeah.
There's no comparison.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest gifts you've given me in these conversations, in this friendship. I mean, because I finally shared with you what I was feeling and like how it was showing up for me. And you're like, why are you comparing? Like, your story's yours and mine is yours, and both are very valuable and valid and compassion driven and emotional, but from our own experiences. Why are you comparing? And I thought, holy shit, like I do that all the time. And when you look at the magic that happens when we stop that, and the power and the conversation we're able to have, and the emotion that we're able to move.
Yeah. One more book that I want to share with everybody, and I don't know if it seems
No, it seems right.
Compassion Code is a very good book. It teaches us how to have compassion for ourselves first, because in order for us to serve others, we have to learn to have compassion for ourselves. And this book also speaks about judging and stuff and putting that aside, because we're not here to judge. We were taught that. And I really want that to stop, especially our children, our young kids. Oh my gosh.
Right. Right. And it's never, I'm really starting to recognize that, and it's not too late to course correct with, and how we model. I mean, there is, I get that there's tools out there for parents, but nobody's written your script.
Right.
Nobody's written the book that's exactly you and your kids. Like, that's just not there. So we're allowed to make mistakes, and we're allowed to course correct, and we're allowed to continue to educate ourselves. And I mean, my kids are adults, 25 and 22, and I'm still find myself course correcting and expanding what I'm, and even working with some of the younger kids. I mean, I've been blessed to be in a place where I'm working now with kids that are 8, 9, and 10. And wow,
That's such a gift.
It's
a gift that you both have to be with our young kids and just see them for who they are, the beautiful beings that they are. My belief is, and I've shared this with both of you, is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're just learning how to be human.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nobody does it right. Only person that did that.
We're not do it alone.
Yeah, exactly.
We're pack animals. I always tell the kids that. Kids, friends, we are pack animals. Like, we're pack animals. We are not meant to walk this journey alone. We're meant to do it through connection, through community. And what a blessing that we're in these experiences with our youth and can share that and remind them at such a young age, because you get this age and you still think you shoulda, coulda, woulda on yourself. And you're right. And thinking I should know better, so I should be doing better. And we're not talking about it, so we're in it ourselves. No. We're meant to do life together. We're better together.
Well, and with that, with the not doing this alone, and I just feel Laura right now, and I'm really, this leads me into, I don't know that we're there yet in this conversation, but to where people sitting in the seat that Laura is sitting in, and I have another friend currently sitting in a really bad place, and Sherry, you have shared where you're sitting, and the resources just don't seem to be there, Debbie. And I think it's a serious gift that we have you in our community. I think it's a gift that you get to reach out in the manner that you get to reach out. And sadly, it's at a point when the loss has happened. Yeah. And what can we do for before this happens?
Great question. And I want to speak to it because I'm seeing how Laura is sharing with us.
Yeah.
So first off, we're having this really difficult conversation that is normally not said.
True.
It's not shared. That's step one. And it's having more of these conversations, even with our kids.
Yes.
And so my question to Laura is, Laura, have you been able to sit down and just talk with your son? And you know what? It may be very scary, because that feeling just came to me as I was even saying those words. I would be scared to death to say to my son,
oh,
yeah. So these conversations, and I also, I gotta share something with you, and I hope it's okay to say this.
Oh, it is. I just know it already.
I'm tired of hearing call 1-800.
Oh.
Me too.
I'm tired of it, because what that does is it displaces them.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deal with it, so just call 1-800. Sorry, folks. If there's something I can do, if there's one thing, if I can just lend an ear, I can't fix it, but I'm here to listen. I'm here to support you, whatever that looks like. But it's even having the conversation with her son and saying, honey, I can't imagine what you're feeling. And I am scared to death. I've told that to my son. My son Brian has shared at times what he was feeling. And I asked him, I said, Brian, I'm sorry that you're feeling this way. And I just need you to promise me if there's anything that you can do, just reach out to me or someone that you know. I will just be here for you, whatever that looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, you are absolutely right, Debbie. We are talking about it. And I think about, oh my gosh, I can't even remember how long ago this happened with my cousin. We weren't talking about it then. And matter of fact, 20 years later, I wanted to, like I said, I have this list and I share it a couple times a year. And it got back to this cousin's, his wife, and anyways, and she was so upset and did not want me to put his name on this list. And she did not want me to share it because she didn't want her boys to get back to her boys. And respectfully speaking, as frustrating as that was for me, I try to respect that, but it hurt me so bad. It's not about me, and I know that, but I just want to own my feelings in this. It hurt me so bad because in his name, somebody else could find hope, or in his name, his boys can understand if they ever have these feelings, is what I kept thinking. And it's like, I know it's not my place and I know it's not about me, but it's just so hard. And so you're absolutely right. You nailed it for me that I am doing my part. I am talking about it. I am sharing in any way I can, because it wasn't like that back then. And even today, it still is somewhat like that. There are people that they won't even say it when it's happened in their life, with their child, they won't even say it. And that's okay for them. I'm not trying to put any kind of a stigma or anything on them. I want to be very clear with anybody who is listening to this. I'm just saying that really, it really hurts my heart for them and for every other person feeling these feels.
Yes.
And, but I want to honor and respect where everybody is, because it is their walk, their journey, their space. And, but yeah, anyways.
So Shara,
Yes.
could you please share with Laura, as she's listening to us, how you just talk to your son and how you and your family work it through right now as you're in it?
So yes, thank you. And again, I can resonate with Laura. Like, I knew at one time what my kiddo's plan was. Somebody else made it part of my conversation, brought it to my attention, and that was the first time that we went for help. And so, we're in a different place. And so, it's interesting because we're in a place now where my kiddo wants the help. Like, the suicidal, this is him telling me, and I want to be really careful of how much of his story, because what's his, but as a mom, we're in a place where the conversation is very real, and that he will tell me now, I'm not suicidal. I want you to know I'm safe. And like, we're really real about that conversation. And I'll say to him, are you safe? And we have that understanding. And so we're there. But I think as a mom, what I can share, the biggest turning point for me was I had to let go of this idea that I was going to save my kid.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me just have goosebumps all over. It makes me want to cry, because as a mom, that's our job.
Yeah. Yes.
Is to protect and save our kids and to make life maybe easier for them. But I had to release this belief that I could save him,
Yeah.
that if he was going to take his life, I couldn't change that. And that I had to be able to show up every day a loving mom, period. And that some days were harder than others. And so I got to a place, though, when I actually spoke that, I'm still really emotional speaking it out because it's really hard to still sometimes say that because people might judge me, I guess, maybe is how I feel. Like, how can you like say that? But once I came to that realization, it was so freeing. And I felt like I loved him differently. I loved him without a fear. I loved him knowing that if he left this world today, I did everything
You could.
the best I could. And once that happened, I started, people would check, how's Tyler, and things like that. And I would just say to him, today's a really good day. I learned to be really present in his journey. Like, today's a good day. And as a mom, it made me focus on where we were in this moment instead of future tripping.
Yes.
When
Yes.
we future trip, it puts us in fear.
Yes.
And so what has also opened up when I released that and just surrendered that is I was able to then be able to really show more. I don't want to say more, but the support and the words I was able to offer seemed to resonate with him. They were less mothering and, constant, like irritating him. Are you okay? Are you okay? What can I do? What can you do? He doesn't know what he wants, what I can do. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
There's nothing I can do. So that was the shift. And like I said, we are in a different place now. Now he's in such this great awareness that this is not how he wants to live. And so we're in a different place. So Laura, I'm going to share with you, and I haven't put the resource page out because I can't find the files section on my page, but when he says he is not safe, and this might be the hardest thing to do, in that moment, I would encourage you, and this is just from my experience, so yours, okay? Put your kiddo in the car and take him up to Smoky Point Behavioral Health Hospital. They do 24/7 in-person assessments, 24/7. And that's what I did recently. I put Tyler in the car. We went straight in, and it was the most graceful. And Tyler will tell you, out of all his experiences, it was the best experience he's ever had with a mental health professional. And now he's in intensive outpatient therapy. And that's because he was not in a place of self-harm and he was asking for help. If he would have shared openly that, yes, there was self-harm or suicidal ideation, and he was resistant to help, they would have put him inpatient right there. So we have had a better experience through Smoky Point Behavioral Hospital, and they have also expanded their space because they're seeing a very high number of youth right now.
Sadly, but true.
The pandemic is no joke. It's really greatly affecting our kids. So I just want to share that. I've heard this about children's. I also heard on a radio talk that if you are sitting in the ER at children's, that they put on the board, like not the person's name, but the next that's going to be called back. And they also put what they're there for. And suicide or suicidal thoughts is what's all coming down that board.
Wow.
So the one thing about Smoky Point is they are strictly behavioral hospital. They are strictly mental health, and they're youth through adult. So they actually serve the youth population, and it's strictly mental health, period. Whereas children's has the mini departments. So it might be the help you're looking for.
Thank you, Shara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really pray that spoke to Laura.
I do too. I do too. Yeah. So I think that, I just saw the time. Wow, we can kill some time, friends. It's almost,
Where did time go?
oh, I know. I would love, Debbie, your story in itself is a gift. This conversation is a gift. And encouraging our families to really, really step out into these conversations. I mean, these are courageous conversations. Like this takes strength. I mean, I don't want anyone to think that this is easy for any of us. It's not. But I think that this is an opportunity for us to all step into a leadership role around these conversations. Each and every one of us talking about it does not mean the child is going to commit suicide.
Right.
Okay. Talking about it does not mean we're giving them the idea. I'm going to tell you right now, I had an 8-year-old tell me today that he contemplated dying in kindergarten.
Mm.
Okay. How does someone in kindergarten know this?
Yeah.
Know that that's even an option or something they can do. So they're hearing about it. It's there. And with social media, it's there. Okay. These kids know more than we want to believe they know. By not talking about it, we're not sheltering them. By not talking about it, it's a disservice. So I'm wondering, any more wisdom, any more thoughts on how we can continue this conversation, Debbie, that you can offer to, our friends that are with us?
It's having the really difficult conversations with our kids and making it safe for them to have those conversations and to know that we're not here to fix it and we can't fix it. We're certainly their parent and we love them and that we want to do what we can, but create a safe environment for them to have these conversations. It's like, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to say to that, what you just said is so perfect. Be having these conversations and not just the kids that you think are thinking about it. Like, like Laura, we said, or, Debbie said, to have that conversation, with your son, and you have shared very openly that you have. It's not just our kids that we are concerned about, because honestly, I'm going to say very openly that we should be concerned about all our kids.
Yep.
And because it's the ones that aren't talking about it that we also need to be very concerned about.
Yes.
And as exhausting as it is for my dear friends, Laura and others that, it's not me to say their names out loud, but if they're watching, they know I'm talking to them. As exhausting as it is to watch your child 24 hours a day because you have a fear of this, the ones that aren't watching because they're either afraid or don't see it, or because their son, like yours, Debbie, who just did not want to share, that's happening there too. So I just long-windedly said, like, I'm one of those moms that have lived in fear of this and never really had a good conversation with my kids about it. I'm worried about everybody else's kid, but truly down deep in the core of my heart, I'm worried about my own, but have been scared to have that conversation with them. And I don't know why, because I can openly talk about it, but so for in real life, I hope that somebody hears today it is okay, it is brave, it is amazing, it is brilliant, it is all the right things to have that very scary, hard conversation with your kid, even if you're sitting in fear. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Because we don't know what we don't know unless we open the door for the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And, my question to you two is there a possibility, or maybe this is already being done, where there is a conversation with kids like this?
Outside of the home.
Yeah.
I don't know when they start conversations in the schools around suicide prevention. Do you know, Crystal?
I don't. What I do know is that there are some curriculum that has been brought into the schools. Sadly, I can't tell you what it is because we haven't been using it, right? And I know one of my friends, Heather, Heather Shara, she was a huge advocate for curriculum being brought into, I want to say, the Snohomish School District. And I know she fought to get it in the Edmond School District, but some other curriculum came in. And that's the other thing. Some of this curriculum that comes in, it contradicts other ones. And it's, there's controversy and it's hard, whatever. But regardless, we need something. So I don't know when it is or where it is or if it is. And we have resistance. When you try to talk about stuff like this, like when you said that, Debbie, I quickly went to, yeah, Sharon, I would gladly, not with a happy face. I don't mean like, oh, yay, but gladly bring the kids to the table and have them sit here and share. But that is such a risk for them. It's a risk for their families. Like, will their families be okay? Not a risk for the family, but will the family be okay? Mm-hmm. Are other kids going to be mean to those kids? Are other kids going to use it? Like, all the things that I don't want to think about is real.
Yeah.
Right. And my first thought was instantly, I know kids that would come. I know who they would be. I know what they would talk about. And it would be good for their souls and it would be good for their friends. And then I think of the bad things, Debbie, that really make it so hard.
Yeah.
Well, and I just had a kind of a real moment, and I'm going to be a little vulnerable here. I immediately went to, where's the program in the school? Deflecting any responsibility that I have or that all of us have. Like, that's great. I mean, like, I seriously was curious if it's in the schools and where it starts that conversation there. But it made me actually go, wait a minute. We all have a freaking responsibility. All of us adults have an opportunity to step into this conversation in some manner.
Yeah.
Even if it starts mama to mama, adult to adult, getting comfortable in the conversation, getting comfortable, say suicide.
Yes.
Suicide. Taking your life. A plan. Like, these are not the things that we want to talk about.
Right.
They don't give you the warm feelings, but it's the reality that all of us have been touched by in some manner.
Yes.
So true. A club that is so needed that nobody wants to be a part of.
Yes. And so I have an invitation for you two, for myself, and for everybody here that's listening. Let's continue the conversation.
Yeah.
And whatever I can do to be a part of it or to support or just to be with, just to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that invitation. And I think that's a really great takeaway. And, if this is new to like talk about this, start by sharing this live. And say, let's talk about this. Or whatever's comfortable to you. Put it right out there on your social media feed. that right there could open you up and make you vulnerable. So again, what I'm talking about, whatever is safe for you and feels right. But I do think that's a beautiful invitation just to stay in the awareness that when we click end here, this conversation's not over.
Right.
That each of us has a responsibility to continue this conversation within our communities.
Yeah. And I do want to say, Laura, you're right. There are brochures that are handed out at school, and there is a humongous support system. So when I say I don't know the curriculum or I don't see it, I do want to speak to that a little bit. I do know that something's there, but I'm not in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I know that in my school in particular, it's elementary and it's, a little more, I don't know what the right word is, but we have an amazing counselor. And I know from the very bottom of my heart, given the opportunity, I'm sure she shares, and I'm sure I know she has had, conversations. And so it is there. And I didn't mean to say that it's not, I just don't get to see it. And so I can't speak to what it is. And I do feel for our school so lucky to have who we have. And I hope that all schools have it. And I'm glad that Brady calls that number. I'm glad that the schools, because 10 years ago, they wouldn't have been handing out that number. You know what I mean? We have come a long way because of people like you, Debbie, and like us, Shara, and like Heather, who, she literally fought to get curriculum to different places. And there are a lot of people doing the work, and I tend to forget that because I get in the place of we're not doing enough.
Right.
And it's not that we're not doing enough. We're only 1, 2, 3 people, but it's just so hard to sit here. And what you helped me with, Debbie, is that we are doing something really big, and that is being able to talk about it. That is being able to say, like Shara, I heard you say the word suicide 2 times back to back. It is a scary word, and you said it like it is not, and that's how it should be. But so with that invitation, Debbie, I hope that we can have another meeting just like this.
Yes.
And, and invite our friends back, and hopefully things are different and more is out there.
Right.
And I hope in our next conversation we can feel it and speak to it for sure.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you both. I love you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Love you too.
And thank you, Laura, and everyone that's
Yes.
been a part of this conversation, and Rachel, and all of you that have been actively sharing and contributing and listening. I definitely know and feel your energy. And please, 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 let's do everything we can.
Yeah.
Even if it takes us out of our comfort zones.
Yes.
Knowing that we are doing it for my kids, your kids, all kids, so that we can have a network, a safety, a community, and normalize these conversations.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I would like to thank Kenny and Tracy as well, because without them today,
that's right,
we wouldn't be having this conversation. And they are here. They're just here in a different way. And I just want to honor them and appreciate them today, and thank them for their mommy and for their very, very good friend. And yeah, that is what comes to my mind. And I'm sitting with that right now.
Beautiful. Thank you. See you all next week.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.